Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal. In this incarnation, the moon is already in Aries. In a few hours, we are going to have the full moon. Mercury also entered in Scorpio, and it is creating this square with Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. We are talking about a high energy with great intensity because Mars, which is the regent of this lunation, it is also in Scorpio. So we could do things that are really contributing with our lives and with other people's lives with passion and devotion. But also there could be many people that in the face of their own frustrations, the projections they are doing that they are not realizing they are doing, could channel this in very unconscious ways, seeing enemies in everything that is opposing to their identifications or beliefs. And this is the shadow of Jupiter in Cancer, which is in tension to the full moon. um, when we are over identifying or attaching to something that I believe is mine, we believe is ours, my country, my belief, my perception of reality, the perception of reality that is conditioned for every one of us in a greater or lesser extent because of the information that we store in our mind and because of the experiences that even have configured our nervous system. So what happens is that the soul doesn't possess any nationalism. All these identifications are temporary and not necessarily negative, but they become distorted. They become an obstacle for growth when they are used as a justification to cause damage, to attack or destroy other people. Under the premise that of desiring a better world, but imposing with excessive aggressiveness the ideology or the vision of situations that one possess. That is when aggressiveness turns in an imbalance. But well, in that act there is also an opportunity of look inwards and to ask ourselves what we are projecting, what I am trying to protect myself, defending myself or attacking in a certain way, what is hurting or reflecting on what other people's words are showing us or in the actions of other people. What leads us to invest energy that is not contributing to that inner unification or to find points of integration with other people? Is there a resistance? Is there fear to take certain decisions or paths? And because of that reason, we are not allowing to circulate our own vital force. Because when we are doing that, that force is deviated to other places where could produce conflict and chaos. So I am not talking about not being in disagreement with other people. Of course, we can do that, but everything loses sense when we are putting energy not in a constructive debate, but incarnating this competitive nature of the ego, the disconnected ego of wanting to be right, and that is also a mechanism of survival. Because when we are acting like that, that is something that could happen to all of us and perhaps will happen again. But in certain circumstances, when we are doing that, it is because we are feeling this deep threat. And the other becomes, with quotation marks, the enemy. But truly, we are here with a temporary personality to experiment. That has a limit, which is the death of the physical body, but it is not the limit of the soul, because the energy, the essence that inhabits and moves everything, is infinite. And this is a key to remind it, because we forget many times. We can get lost. We can get lost in this world, in this matter. And well, some people don't even remember this, but their souls know. So we come to this plane of the matter, of the density, to discover light in different circumstances, even the ones that we are not considering light, because it is too hidden. And if many of us could find, paths in moments of great darkness, in our individual experiences, that means that we can do it in a collective way. It is just that social changes require processes. But in the last years, as much as our lives have been like, in this constant change, accelerated change. Also, there are, experiences on the planet that are accelerated. And the practice is, because this is a practice, is to open ourselves to the greater purpose. As much as we are doing that for our own path, also with the things that are happening on the outside that we cannot control. And this is very, very important to identify if something from our space, from our role, from our identity, from the things that we know and that we can offer, can really improve, can really put consciousness in this world, even if it's not perfect, because every act that we are doing is aligned with the consciousness that we have right now, and it is inevitable, if we are truly focusing ourselves in growth, to look to look back and to see many things that we could have done better. But it is there where we need to be, more compassive with ourselves. I mean, it is great to be humble and to recognize what we can perfect or rectificate, but it is so different to attach ourselves to guilty, to the sadness for the things that we didn't know how to do different. The opposite imbalance could be, not even recognize it, thinking that we are always right, which is also a polarity of the ego. But the more that we are growing, I think that the more that we grow, the more that we see our own imbalances, and in very subtle ways. That's why it is very important to find this middle point between identifying them, to change them, and self-punishment for the things that we didn't learn yet, or denial, because denial is also a mechanism of protection of our identity. Once we are seeing something, we cannot keep sustaining ourselves in the same way, and many times we try to protect things, aspects of ourselves, whether they are limited or not, because they are known, and what is known, it is familiar, and what is familiar, it is a security area. But as I said, once we opened our eyes to light, we cannot we cannot overlook that. We cannot pretend that is not there. I mean, we can, but this is going to produce even more suffering than the moment that we weren't aware of that, because the soul and life always, they are going to push us to walk forth. So thank you, everyone. See you in the next video. Sorry for my English. Ciao, ciao.